Hi everyone. Today I would like to talk about one of my favorite spooky stories, the Fouke Monster, the Beast of Boggy Creek. Now this creature has had sightings that have gone back over a century, but the interest really peaked in the early 1970s. Fouke, Arkansas is a rural town in southern Arkansas, and I grew up about 40 miles away in a little town outside of Magnolia, Arkansas. And if you look on the map, the area between Fouke and where I grew up is all woodland, like all swamps. There are very few roads. There's like one small little town, I think McCamey is the name of it. Anyway, it's not implausible that if there is a creature in Fouke, that it would have come over to where I lived. But my family has no stories about it. My family has been on the land I grew up on for generations. My father now owns several hundred acres, and my family's just been in the area for a really long time. And yet my family has no stories. But I wonder if my grandfather would have even said anything if he had seen anything. He was pretty no nonsense. So he was out in the woods his whole life. My dad was out in the woods his whole life. And I assume most of the men in my family were the same. But I have no family stories of it. And I've always wondered about that. Like, are they just not telling me? The only story I can think of that might have had any relevance to the Fouke Monster is sometimes when the dogs would give a scared kind of bark, like they heard something out in the woods and it kind of scared them. My papa would call that their booger bark. And having listened to a lot of different accounts of people's sightings of Bigfoot and whatever, one of the things they call him is a booger. Like that's that old-fashioned name for it, I think. So I wonder if that was like a throwback to an acknowledgement that this was the creature, you know. My dad is very against believing in this creature, and so I really, really, really want him to see one. So the history of the Fouke Monster goes back over 100 years. There were sightings around Jonesville, which is a small town nearby, like before 1946, I believe. And the interest in the monster peaked around 1971 when there was a couple, Don and Elizabeth Ford, who moved to a little house in Fouke. And one night, the wife was laying on the couch, and the arm of this creature reached through the screen door or window. And then her husband and his brother chased it off and shot at it. And later on, they found tracks. And so that created kind of a stir in the town. And there were some other sightings around that time, too. I think 3 people saw it off of Highway 71. But from that interest, several different sightings then caught the interest of some filmmakers. And so there was a documentary made called The Beast of Boggy Creek, and that became really famous all around the world. But the sightings didn't stop there. In 1991, someone claimed to have seen it jump from a bridge. And in 1997, the year I graduated from college, there were over 40 reported sightings of the creature. In 1998, which is the last one I could find a report of, someone said they saw it in a dry creek bed. So the Beast of Boggy Creek is alive and well. And in fact, the town of Fouke, Arkansas, every year has a festival called the Boggy Creek Festival, or the Fouke Monster Festival, I believe. And I got to go one year in, I believe, 2013. Nobody would go with me, so I went by myself. And I got to meet Lyle Blackburn, who is an author who has done some books on the topic. And he hosted a tour in a school bus. We drove around different areas where there had been sightings of the creature. It was just really fun. Fouke also has a museum of sorts. It is in a gas station called Monster Mart. My family has been twice. Hi Luna. Once we took our kids when they were younger and got to see all the tracks and the footprints and the drawings and photos. and the sculptures. And this summer when I went back to Arkansas, me and the kids brought my parents. And so we all got to enjoy the museum again. And it is upgraded. They've got a lot more now than they used to. And it's really fun. We also went to Boggy Creek and saw the creek. We're here at the Monster Mart in Fouke, Arkansas. The kids have moved on to pizza. Not me. As I think I've mentioned before, I am obsessed with this podcast called Sasquatch Chronicles. And it's just people calling in with stories of their encounters. And some of them are kind of unhinged, but a lot of them are not. And I really want to believe, but I probably won't unless I see one. So I keep trying to put myself in situations where I'll see one. I like to drive around in the Rocky Mountains where I live. I kind of wander around in the woods where I used to live, where I grew up. But so far, no luck. I do, however, have a friend who lives in Willisville, that's not very far from where I grew up, and she's a big fan of Bigfoot too. She's never seen one either, but she thinks she has found tracks on her property, and also her husband, who's not a believer, he claims he might have seen one a couple of years ago, and I think it kind of shook him a little bit. So there's that. Also, between where I grew up in Fouke, there is a lake called Lake Erling. It's kind of south, but it's between. And my grandparents, when I was growing up, had a little trailer on the lake there. We would go hang out in the summer and swim and just have a good time. There have been some sightings around there that have been reported in social media, and every time there's one, my family sends it to me. Like, I get it 5 different times from different family members. So, you know, there are still some sightings, and like, I feel like there have been near misses for me, you know. I still have hope that I will see one day, but so far, no luck. Have any of you ever had sightings or heard of sightings in your area? If so, let me know in the comments.